Morning, everybody. It's good to see you. I'm David. So today you will have the option to put your video camera on if you like, so I can give feedback on your practice. But that's not altogether necessary. So if you prefer to keep it off, that's okay. Otherwise, I will see you on the screen here, and when I can see you, I'll do my best to provide some feedback. But today, as we always do, we'll start with some breathing. We'll move on to some active yoga practices, and then we'll do some meditation toward the end. So for now, just take a few moments to settle in. Close your eyes and redirect all of your focus to your breath. Pay attention to your inhaling and pay attention to your exhaling. And if your mind wanders elsewhere, just notice as quickly as you're able and redirect to your breath. Then for the moment, lift your right hand to your face and place the tip of your index and middle finger right between your eyebrows. As you focus there, take a deep breath in. Exhale all of your air. Use your thumb to block the right nostril and breathe in through the left. Ring finger to left, exhale right. Again, breathe in left. Exhale out the right. Inhale left side. Exhale right side. Breathe in through the right. Exhale left. Inhale right side. Exhale left side. Once more, breathe in right. Breathe out the left. And drop your hand to your lap. Breathe all the way in. Exhale your air. Breathe in deeply. Exhale. Breathe in once more. Exhale completely. Now for the next few moments, breathe normally. And once more, pay close attention to your inhaling and your exhaling. Join your hands together in a prayer at your chest. Bring to mind someone you'd like to dedicate today's practice to. And then send that person some good energy mentally. And then when you're ready, open up your eyes. So today we'll start with some rotations for your wrists. So turn your thumbs down toward the floor for now. And then take one hand over top of the other one. So your wrists are crisscrossed, and interlace your hands. Once you've done that, rotate your thumbs toward your face to twist your wrists. Let your shoulders slide down away from your ears toward the belt. Release that side. Switch your hands over in the other direction, and then repeat the same one you just did. Rotate your thumbs toward your face. If it's too much to take your arms to vertical, it's okay. Just come to whatever spot gives you some good rotation on the wrist. And then release that for the moment. And take your right hand to your left knee, your left hand on the floor behind you, and then just rotate around your axis for now and gaze straight back over your shoulder behind. At the same time, sit up tall and tuck your ribs down in the front as you hold. All right, same twist on the second side. So don't have to go too terribly crazy because we're still getting warmed up, but just rotate in the other direction and gaze backward over your shoulder. Sometimes in an attempt to sit up tall, it can be tempting to poke out your ribs, but try not to do that. Tuck your ribs down in the front so you're compact like a brand new tube of toothpaste, and then just keep twisting your spine. Release, and some cat-cow is next to loosen up your back a bit. Go ahead and step to the four-pointed kneeling stance with your shoulders directly over your hands. Knees a little bit behind your hips. Whenever you settle into that, keep your arms relatively straight, round your back like a cat, roll your tail under and curl your chin to your chest. And then arch your back, lift your hips and your chin. And alternate back and forth between both extremes. Use your exhales to round, your inhales to arch, and continue on back and forth. Once your back starts to feel as though it were responding to those motions, then get more creative too. And as always, keep in mind that there's nothing incorrect you can do in the cat-cow kriya, so just get as intuitive and creative as you would like to get. Let's try to keep breathing deep all the way through. All right, then the next time you inhale, roll to a plank position, and this time lower all the way down to your stomach. Prop yourself up on your elbows so that you resemble a sphinx. As you hold there, press your elbows into the earth, lift your collarbones just a little bit higher, and for the next few moments, allow your back to bend. At the same time, stretch firmly back through the tips of your toes as you hold. Let your chest lower down, shift your hips back toward the heels for the child's pose. Let your hips rock from one side to the other side, completely back and forth. And then come up to the four-pointed kneeling stance once more. And this time, swing your left leg forward to the front of the mat so you wind up in a full lunge. And plant your hands on the floor beneath and let your hips sink down as well as forward toward the front of your mat itself. Now, still pretty early on in the practice, but if you want more stretch, take your right elbow down to the ground. And if you want to go deeper than that, take both elbows all the way down to the ground for a little bit. Slow, even breaths. At the same time, try to keep your left knee hugged into your center line so your knee is somewhat stacked right above the ankle. And press down to come all the way back up. Swing your leg back to the cat-cow kriya position, and then take the other one forward for the same lunging posture on the other side. That's it, Amy. Now let your hips sink down and forward. If you're not quite ready to take your elbow to the floor, skip that. Otherwise, an elbow or both elbows all the way down to the earth. And just breathe into it as you hold. That should have limbered you up a little bit, but Tara is practicing from Alaska. I know it's much colder up there, so we're gonna do some other things to get warmer, all right? So take a look forward, and then step all the way up to the front of your mat. And come up to your fingertips. Then bend your knees just enough to fold forward and get at least your fingers resting on the floor. And finally, pedal your legs in place. Bend one leg and straighten the other one, and alternate back and forth between both. All right, then with a micro bend in your knees, or perhaps even more than that, grab opposite elbow and opposite hand, and let your torso sway from one side to the other side. Then drape your hands all the way down to the floor, and use an inhale to roll yourself all the way upwards to a full standing posture. And join your hands together in a prayer at your chest. Surya Namaskara. Use an inhale to sweep your arms outwards and upwards. Forward fold as you exhale, both hands down. Lift to your fingertips on the inhale. Chaturanga push-up with an exhale. Squeeze your elbows into your sides. Breathe in for the up dog. Breathe all the way out for the downward facing dog. Squeeze your elbows in toward your skull. Press your heels toward the floor and let your breath be incredibly deep and incredibly long. For round 2 of the same, take a look forward. Step or hop to the front of your mat. Come up to your fingers for some length. And then fold with your exhale. Use your inhale, sweep upwards, arms to the sides and then up. Hands to your chest with your exhale. Inhale, sweep your arms up. Exhale, forward folds. Inhale to your fingers. Chaturanga push-up with your exhale. Up dog on your inhale. Downward facing dog with your exhale. This time for a deeper calf stretch. Lift your right leg all the way up into the air. And then bend your lifted leg. Roll your hip all the way open to the side of your mat. And use that to press your left heel closer to the ground. And take your right foot to the floor. Lift your left leg upward into the air. And bend your leg and roll your hip all the way open to your side. Press your right heel close to the earth beneath. Now from that posture, just step your foot all the way forward. Step all the way up to the front of your mat with both feet. Come up to your fingers. Forward fold with your exhale. Use your inhale to sweep all the way up to standing. And your hands to your chest with your exhale. Final round. Inhale, sweep your arms up. Forward fold with your exhale. Lift to your fingers on the inhale. Chaturanga push-up with your exhale. Then the up dog with an inhale. And the down dog stretch with an exhale. All right, step your right foot all the way forward to your hands. We're setting up for the horse, so walk your hands across the ground to face the long edge of the room. Then turn your toes out. Bend your legs substantially. Once it sort of feels like you're sitting on the seat of a Vespa, reach your arms out to the sides and up. All right, now roll your tailbone upward and backward a little bit. And bend your legs just a little tiny bit more. And then pretend you've got a brick tied around your tailbone. Roll your tail under just a very slight bit to elongate your lower back again. Perfect, Amy. All right, now straighten out your legs all together. Reach your arms way out to your sides. Turn your left foot back to face the rear of your mat. Parallel your right foot with the front of your mat. And then bend your left leg for warrior 2 position. Gaze straight out over the fingertips of your left hands. And bend into your front leg until it decidedly starts to burn while you hold there. Slow and even breaths as you hold. Now keep your leg bent if possible, and reverse the warrior with the side bend. Once you've got your back hand resting upon the edge of your leg there, just reach really strongly through your left hand to open up some space between your ribs. Use your next inhale to come back to warrior 2. And with both arms still fully extended, straighten your leg and turn your feet to face the edge of your mat. All right, warrior 2, facing the other direction. Right toes forward. Bend your legs substantially and gaze in dramatic fashion out over the tips of your fingers there. Try to relax your muscles a little bit and let your bones support the pose. Now turn your right hand to face up to slide your shoulder down a little. Reverse the warrior with a side bend. Reach your right arm over your center line. And keep bending into the front leg as you hold. And try to rotate your chest a bit right so both sides of your belly and chest face the long edge of your mat. All right, then inhale back to warrior two. Straighten your leg completely. Take your hands to your hips and turn your feet to face the side of your mat again. All right, this time, shift your hips forward, squeeze your elbows back, and take a back bend. Lift up to the base of your ribs to bend. Forward fold as you exhale and take both hands all the way down. Now this time, turn your toes out and bend your legs just like you did in the horse, but this time keep your fingers on the floor. That's it, Tara, perfect. Now crisscross your arms under your ribs, round your spine a little bit more, and let your head hang down near the ground. Now we're going to make this into a flowing motion, a vinyasa. So stand up with an inhale, straighten your legs, reach your arms outwards and upwards. Then bend and cross with your exhale. Let your head hang near the floor. And then back and forth between both. Use your inhales to stand. Your exhales to cross. Another one, inhale up. Exhale. One more time, inhale. Exhale to drop. That's it, Amy. Now keep your legs bent, reach both arms all the way up. Place your hands on your kneecaps next. Then lean forward till you get parallel to the mat. Press your knees apart. Rotate your chest left. And then if possible, try to straighten your right arm completely by pressing your hand into your innermost thigh as you twist. Slow inhales and slow exhales. Rotate your chest down to face the floor and then spin off for the same posture on the other side. Try to really drive out your left hand to straighten out your arm completely. And keep breathing while twisting. And from that position there, square your chest with the floor. Crisscross your arms under your ribs. Stand all the way up, straighten your legs and reach your arms to the ceiling above you. And take a long and big step to get back to the front of your mat. Inhale and sweep your arms all the way upwards. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale to your fingertips. Chaturanga push-up with your exhale. The up dog with an inhale. Then the downward facing dog with your exhale. Step your right foot all the way forward to your hands. With your fingers still on the floor, turn your left heel up to face the ceiling. And then start straightening out your right leg a bit at a time until you feel some openness in the back of the right leg. Lift your chest away from your thigh for some additional length. Feel free to stay there. Otherwise, forward folds. Curl your chin to your chest and take your forehead either to your shin or your knee beneath. If you prefer, just stay there with your chest lifted high. So long as you're getting stretched in the back of your right leg, you're good to go with this one. Bend your right leg, walk your hands over to face the long edge of your mat. And then walk your hands around to face the back of the room that you're in. Turn your right heel straight up to face the ceiling. Lift your chest away from your thigh. And with your front leg really active and long, either stay up there on your fingertips like I am, or fold, Curl your chin to your chest and let your forehead rest on your knee as you hold. All right, bend that front leg again, then walk your hands across the ground to face the long edge of your mat. Come all the way upwards onto your fingertips, and then move your hands to your waist from there. Stand all the way up, shift your hips forward, and take a back bend once you've made it to the top. Exhale all the way back upwards. Reach your arms out to your sides and turn your toes out. Take a really huge step to get back up to the front of your mat. And for the moment, just close your eyes and take a few moments to focus on your inhale and your exhale. Time to test the balance board today. So open up your eyes and then take your hands to your waist. This one's called Utthita Hasta Padangusthasana. So draw your left knee all the way up. And if you like to modify, grab your knee with your left hand. Now, if you want to go beyond that, reach down and try to grab your big toe with your index and middle finger. And if that's working for you, then do the Utthita part. Extend your leg all the way forward. Wobbling's totally natural, so if you tip over, just get back up and try again. But try to keep your ribs locked down in the front, a little tiny belly crunch as you hold. All right, now swivel your leg all the way out to your left-hand side. If you're able to, take it just a slight bit higher upwards into the air. Make sure you keep your eyes locked on something solid down there on the ground. Drop your foot all the way back down to the earth. And then the same on the other side. Now, as you balance, it helps to turn your toes out a little tiny bit. Sometimes that will improve your balance, so feel free, or not, but draw your right knee up. Option 1 is to grab the knee or the shin. Option 2 is to grab your big toe. And standing tall, option 3, which is indeed very optional, is to extend your leg all the way forward. Keep your eyes locked on something solid beneath. Now slow shift out to the edge there. If the balance is happening for you, take your leg just a little higher upwards still. And then drop your foot all the way back down. Now we'll do the same pose from a different spatial orientation. So if you're not there, step up to the front of your mat. Use an inhale to sweep your arms up overhead. Forward fold as you exhale. Lift to your fingers on the inhale. Chaturanga push-up with an exhale. Up dog as you breathe in. Down dog as you exhale. Step your right foot forward. Walk your hands ahead. Step onto your right leg and lift the back one really high. Half moon pose. Roll your left hip and chest open to the side. Reach your left arm all the way upwards to the sky. And then as you hold there, just lift your left leg upwards as high as it will rise. Sometimes gazing up can be a bit much, so if you're not into that, look sideways or down at the floor instead. And now bend the leg that you're currently standing on. Take both hands down to the floor. Step your left foot back to the rear of the mat, then the right one, and lower down through the push-up. Up dog as you breathe in. Down dog as you breathe out. Step your left foot forward. Now, I don't know if this will help or not, but sometimes turning your fingers outward will help to preserve some of the balance. So you might consider, from there, with your hands still on the floor, step onto your left leg. And then rotating your hip and your heart, open to the edge, reach your right arm straight upwards. And then just elevate your foot ever so higher upwards into the air. And even now, slow and expansive breaths. So we're going to go for a slightly different transition. Take your hands to the floor and place your right foot next to the left. Come up to your fingertips and then squat deeply down on your heels and move your knees way out to the sides as you do that. We're getting set up for the crow. Now, when you're ready to go for it, walk your hands a little further forward. Round your spine a little bit by curling your chin in towards your chest and let your head hang closer to the floor down there. For the next few moments, like a stick sinking into mud, just let your whole belly and chest sink down between your legs. Now in the crow, there's a number of different positional possibilities for your arms, but today walk your hands back and let your hands be placed on the floor about shoulder distance apart. Now, if you bend your elbows straight back from there, sometimes it's hard to not slip the legs off the arms. So today, try to angle your fingers in just the slightest bit and poke your elbows out to the sides. Yeah, that's it, Tara. Good. Now, squiggle side to side and try to place your legs on your uppermost arms. Now, if you want to modify, just lift your butt, lean a little weight into your hands. If you want to take it further, lift a foot off the floor. If you want to take it further still, lift both feet off of the earth. Remember, dig your fingertips firmly into the floor as you hold. Excellent. One more breath if you can. Yes. All right. Go ahead and take your feet down. Hop back to the high push-up position and lower down to your stomach. All right. Roll over onto the right-hand side of your body and prop yourself upward on your right elbow. Draw your knees toward your chest so your legs form a rough 90-degree angle in relation to your spine. Lift your left knee up. Drive your knee into the floor to lift your hips off of the ground for a clamshell. And then reach your left arm straight up to vertical. Roll your tail under to squeeze your booty while you're there. And by continuously lifting your hips up, try to keep the tension in your hips. And then we're going to use that same position for something else. So take your hips all the way back down to the floor. And reinforce that 90-degree angle between your legs and spine. Now reach down with your left hand, grab a hold of the top of your foot, and press your foot straight back toward the rear of the room that you're in. All right, now you're all bendy today, so if you want to take it further, hook your ankle over the top of the knee, and then just give your foot some downward pressure to take your knee closer to the floor beneath. Now, if that doesn't work for you, it's okay to just press your foot back instead, but tuck your ribs down in the front as you hold. All right, release that contortion and then flip up and just roll on to your other side. Now, sort of adjust like this so I'm still facing the camera. Doesn't matter which direction you face so long as you wind up on your left side. All right, draw your knees toward your chest. And first, that old school clamshell. Lift your right knee upward into the air. Then take your hips off of the ground. Reach your right arm all the way up and roll your tail under. Squeeze your posterior and hold. Slow inhales, slow exhales. And then with your hips taken all the way back down to the floor, grab a hold of your right foot with your right hand and kick your foot all the way back. Now, the second part of that's just for entertainment purposes. If you're into it, hook your ankle over the top. If that's not working for you, skip it. But if you did get the hook, then press your knee closer to the floor down there beneath. Tuck your ribs down in the front as you hold. At the same time, try to squeeze your shoulders back in together at least a little bit. All right, then release all that. Press all the way up. Plant your hands near the front of your mat and move back to the high plank position. And then once you're there, lower all the way down to your stomach. All right, Shalabhasana position. Reach your arms forward like a super person. Come up onto your fingertips and then lift your chest a little higher. Stretch back through your legs until your legs magically fly off of the earth. Completely up to you, but if you want to make it harder, lift your hands all the way off of the ground. With everything still elevated and lifted, just breathe deeply again. One more upward lift, and then relax to come back down to the floor. Bend your legs and wave your ankles from one side to the other side. All right, so back to being bendy. Plant your hands near the bottom rim of your ribs in a push-up position. Then reach your right arm out to the side of the room. Make sure your arm's parallel to the front of your mat. And turn your right hand to face up, the palm to face up. Now bend your left leg. Roll your hip all the way open to the edge. And attempt to tap your toes to the floor behind you. If you can touch your heel to the floor, take it all the way down. Keep pressing your left hand into the earth as you hold the twist. Same posture on the other side. Roll all the way down. The right hand is going to help you press, so put it in a push-up position, and then extend your left arm out to the side, palm up. That just kind of protects your elbow. Right, bend your right leg. Flip the foot all the way over to the floor behind you. Tap your toe to the floor. You can take your heel to the earth, let it settle all the way down, and then just keep gazing straight up as you hold. And we're going to loop back to where we bent. So roll down to your belly and prop yourself up on your elbows so you look like a proper Sphinx again. Now initially, crazy glue your elbows to the floor so they can't go sliding around on you. Try to slide your elbows back to thrust your chest a little further forward. Now if your back feels okay with it, shrug your shoulders to lift your elbows off the ground. Slide your shoulders down away from your ears toward your belt. Now pretend that your arms were like ice cream cones, and imagine that your torso were like ice cream. Let the ice cream of your torso melt down onto the cones of your arms so that your chest slumps a little bit. Squeeze your shoulders all the way backward and together. And as you do that, try to keep most of the bend in the middle of your back as opposed to just the lower section of the spine. Lower yourself all the way back down to the earth. Roll your toes under and back and plant your hands down near the bottom rim of your ribs. Now if it's helpful, use your knees, but press from the low push up to the high, all the way up to the top. Take your knees back down to the ground. Make sure your hands are placed right under your shoulders. Lift your left leg all the way up. Reach your right arm out to the side. And then take the tiger's pose. Reach back, go on a fishing expedition and try to grab your left foot with your right hand. Then kick your foot upward into the palm. Squeeze your shoulder all the way back in together. And keep your eyes locked on something solid as you hold. Take that foot all the way back down to the earth. And then lift your right leg all the way upward into the air. Now, I don't know if it'll help or not, but sometimes if you swing that leg across your midline, it's easier to fish around back there and grab your foot. So you might try that. If the balance is a little precarious, keep your toes of the back foot curled under. And press your foot upward into your hand. See if you can spin your chest open to the edge and squeeze your shoulders back in together as well. All right, drop your knee all the way back down to the earth. And the puppy dog stretch. Shift your hips back a tiny bit till your thighs feel more vertical. Walk your hands forward. And with arms straight, let your chest sink closer to the floor beneath you. If you like, take your forehead to the earth and or your chin. And now to get out of that one, round your spine to lift your elbows up, walk your hands back, and then just crisscross your legs and roll backward to a full seated position. Now we're going for the bridge or the wheel stretch, so just lay all the way down on your back. And once you're laying down there, bend your legs, reach forward and try to touch your fingertips to your heels. Roll your shoulders a little closer to your spine so that they can support your weight, and then lift your hips straight upwards into the air for the bridge. It's a fine posture that, so feel free to stay in it. If you want to do the wheel though, plant your hands on your other side of your head. And the next time you exhale, drive down through your hands to come up to straight arms. Through either of those positions, just breathe as deeply as you can. Two more breaths. And then all the way back down to the floor beneath. Once you're there, wave your knees from one side to the other side. To counter what you just did, reach both arms all the way out to your sides. Wrap your right knee over top of left. Slide your hips to the right. Drop your knees to the left. As you continue twisting, gaze out over your outstretched right hand. And if you like, take some weight to your knee by pressing them toward the floor with your left hand. Sweep them all the way up. Center your hips at the midline of your mat. Wrap your left knee over top of right. Slide your hips over to the left. And drop your knees to the right-hand side of the room that you're in. And gaze out left over your outstretched arm and hand. If you applied some weight before, make sure you do that here again by placing your right hand on your left leg beneath. Sweep your knees all the way back up. Now we're going to turn your body into a canoe or a kayak. So lift your feet off of the floor. If you like, you can definitely do this one with your legs bent. You want to make it a little harder. Point your legs straight up in the air so that your legs are straight. Either way, make your arms into a beach ball shape with your fingers sort of near your knees. Like you're doing an old school belly crunch in the gym, crunch up and draw your chin toward your chest. Now, if you want to make it harder, reach your arms overhead as well as back to the wall behind you. If you want to make it harder still, drop your feet down and forward till they're about hip height. And then just rock your torso from one side to the other in the smallest rocks back and forth. Just like you're rocking back and forth on tiny, tiny waves. Keep your upper back rounded, your abdominal muscles tense. Just a few more moments of that. And then relax to come all the way back down. Grab a hold of your legs, rock up to a seated position, and then hop back or step back to the high plank pose and pause there with your arms out straight. Now this time round, squeeze your booty, curl your chin to your chest to look at your toes, press your hands down into the floor till your shoulders slide apart, and then flex every muscle in your body like you're trying to pop a balloon and hold. Definitely enough of that. The pigeon pose. Swing your left ankle to your right wrist. Scoot your rear leg back just a little further. And then lean all the way forward onto your elbows to stretch your hips. Plant your hands beneath you, step back to that plank position. And take the pigeon pose on the second side. And sometimes sliding your left leg further backward will get your hips nearer the floor. So if that helps, consider it. And take your elbows down to the floor again. And then finally roll over onto your hip. Swing your legs all the way forward. And roll all the way down to lay down on your back once more. Once you're laying down, take your favorite spinal twist with your knees pointed right. And if you don't know what to do, I would reach your arms out to the sides, draw your knees to the chest, and then drop your knees right and rotate your gaze left. If you have a different leg position you like to utilize, then definitely do that as an alternative. Sweep your knees all the way back up. Then take them over for the same posture on the other side. Then finally sweep your knees back up and find your way to the corpse pose, unless, of course, you prefer seated meditation, and feel free to do that instead. Make any final adjustments you need to get comfortably still. So the other day I was speaking with a friend and I mentioned some of the difficulties men have around regulating emotions and communicating emotions. And she sort of laughed and she said with her boys it's actually totally different. She said at school it's typically the little boys that fall into tears before the little girls these days, and the little boys, at least in her school, are pretty communicative. I think that's a good shift. Everybody experiences emotions, but I think Historically speaking, it's been sort of a gendered approach to emotions. And I think for me in particular, growing up in South Central Montana in the early 80s, we were definitely not encouraged to express emotion. In fact, for me and most of my friends, if we did, we usually got smacked with a belt or hit with a stick or something else like that. Now, at some point, I started to associate pain with emotional expression. So I tried to one up everybody. And rather than just masking my emotions, I started to completely deny my emotions. If I'd feel any sort of discomfort coming up inside, I'd just stuff it down as deep as it could until to prevent it from becoming a full blown emotion. Now, as you might imagine, that created lots of problems in my life. And I stuffed my emotions down for so many years that I quite literally got to the place where I could hardly feel anything aside from really strong anger or love. The whole spectrum of human emotions that lies somewhere in between was just completely absent for me. And sometimes, in really challenging situations, I would find myself so completely dissociated that I would feel as though nothing was wrong, even despite the fact that lots of things were going poorly. Now, at some point, I realized that that was creating lots of problems in my life, so I decided to return to feeling. And it wasn't something that actually happened overnight. In fact, when I first started to try feeling again, it was really, really difficult. The feelings just wouldn't come. But over the course of many years, I just practiced letting feelings arise. If I'd feel some agitation or discomfort or some sadness or depression, rather than stuffing it down, I just let it be there. Now, the end results were like opening floodgates. When my feelings finally did come back, they started to become overwhelming. And I found myself getting wrapped up in all sorts of different feelings over and over again. It was at that point that I had to learn a little bit more of the middle path to emotional regulation. And this was really, really key for me. I learned how to actually feel while not getting stuck as deeply in the feelings. Now, this is something I'm still working on. I have not perfected this by any stretch of the imagination. But I think it's useful to be able to feel what you're feeling without getting overwhelmed by it. So today we'll practice an old school exercise that can potentially help you out with that if that's something that you would like to train in as well. Regardless, this can make your mind feel a little more peaceful inside. So even if you've got emotional regulation down, I think is a good practice to finish with for today. So before we get to that, a short body scan as we normally do. Just breathe normally and naturally for a few. And redirect your awareness to your eyes. Let your breathing patterns be shallow. Don't try to deepen your breath at all. And then redirect awareness to your throat. Breathe normally and just concentrate your awareness there. Tips of your shoulders. Your thoughts are still there, just don't let them bother your concentration. Shift awareness to your elbows. And then to your wrists. Palms of your hands. Tips of your fingers. Shift awareness to your hips. Kneecaps. Ankles. Bottoms of the feet. Tips of your toes. Sides of your body, right side and left side. The back of the body, navel, center chest, tips of your shoulders, back of the neck. And send awareness from your heart out to the palms of your hands. From your heart to the bottoms of your feet. From your heart to the base of the spine, and again, come up to the top of your head. So the machinations of your mind and my mind are many, various, and complicated. There's a time and place for everything. All the mind's many functions have different purpose. Now, to some degree, we all have to have some degree of emotional repression. We can't let everything come up where it's just completely overwhelming. On the other hand, if you constantly stuff down your emotions like I did, that can create lots and lots of problems that lead to the inability to feel, and a sense of feeling completely disconnected from yourself and your environment as a whole. And on the other hand, expression is really helpful. And sometimes just telling somebody else how you're feeling really takes the pressure off. But sometimes if the emotions come up and you end up swimming in the emotions and they wind up being overwhelming, that can create lots of problems too. So this final practice is a middle path between both extremes. You allow yourself to acknowledge what you're feeling while practicing letting go. And to do it, you got to try to visualize a little bit. So as you lie there, imagine yourself lying down or sitting down if you prefer, near the banks of a slowly winding stream. You let those waters look any way you like them to look. You can create the banks to your preferences, but just see the water slipping by you, coming and going from left side to right. As you continue watching those waters, imagine that the season had turned to fall, to autumn. And imagine lots of fall leaves drifting to the ground around you. And for the next few moments, imagine you could put your thoughts and whatever emotions arise within your body on the leaves. If a particular thought pops into your brain, acknowledge and recognize that you're having that thought. Then just imagine you could pluck it out of your mind, that you could put it on a fall leaf, that you could put that leaf in the water and let the water wash the leaf away. Do this with emotions too. If you have a moment of irritation, acknowledge it and recognize it. Imagine that you could pull the recognition out of your body and put it on a leaf. Place that leaf on the stream and let the stream wash that particular feeling of irritation away. As you continue to do this, if you feel a sense of boredom arising within your mind, or a sense that I can't do this, acknowledge and recognize those thoughts and emotions, put them on leaves and let the stream wash them away. Do this with positive emotions too. If a thought pops into your brain that congratulates yourself for doing very well with this exercise, acknowledge its relevance, pluck it out of your mind, put it on a leaf, and let the stream wash the leaf away. For the next few moments on your own, self-paced, acknowledge and recognize what you're thinking or feeling, and then practice letting go. Place the leaf on the stream and let the waters wash the leaf away. And then for the next few moments, just let all those visualizations fade away. Redirect your awareness to your body and to your breath. And with your eyes closed, let yourself roll all the way over and then onto one side. With both of your eyes closed, press back to a seated and cross-legged posture of some type. And join your hands together in a prayer at your chest. Recollect the person you dedicated your practice to today. Pray for or wish for their happiness and their well-being. Take a moment to be grateful for the gift of another day. And if you wish, repeat after me. May all sentient beings everywhere experience peace.